Good evening, and welcome back to the channel full of mystery and intrigue and horse tales of horror and ghosts. Alright, yeah, so I'm trying something new for, I guess, a creepy intro. Let me know if you like that. Anyway, so yeah, welcome back to the second episode of Well, That's Terrifying, where I tell true stories of me encountering ghosts and other supernatural things from my life. So I'm gonna go ahead and preface this again by saying I don't believe in ghosts. I don't think they're real. I just, there's not enough proof out there for me to believe that there are spirits walking amongst us and also, you know, just mess with us and shit. I don't believe it. So with that being said, these stories are very real, and this is the second one that I kind of, you know, I told last time I was like, I'm gonna save it for another day because I kind of want to retell it. And this happened in one of the most unusual places that you could possibly think of encountering a ghost. And that is a Hollister in a mall. Let's get into it. Alright, so just to pause right here for a minute. Sorry, this is editing me. I just want to remind you guys to like and subscribe and also turn on notifications for future videos on my channel so you guys know when I upload and post. Alright, so this happened when this was after I transferred. So I was 20 when this happened, and I was working at the Hollister at H3ll Town Center. For those of you guys who, you know, live in Virginia, or at least in Central Virginia, you guys probably know about H3ll Town Center. So H3ll Town Center is a pretty old mall. I know it's like a B-level mall where it might be C-level at this point. Yeah, it was a mall that was like built in the 80s, and it's been around for a long time, but you know, there really hasn't been like a whole lot that's happened there in the past, but I know like in the present times, like there was a shooting there last year, and there was also like a deer running through the mall. We don't know how the deer got in there, but it got in there. And also some of those like little kiosks, like when I was working there were some kiosks like in the middle of the mall, like through the main drag. And we found out that those were actually fronts for drug trafficking. Yeah, there were like large bags of weed behind the dumpsters whenever you went out through the back entrance where Red Robin is. You can't go through that back entrance anymore because there's like a restaurant there. But back then it used to be like a little parking lot where the trash compactor and trash cans were. And yeah, there used to be really massive bags of weed just sitting back there. And then of course, like, next time you went through, they were gone. And then when we found out what actually happened, we were like, oh wow, that was across the street from our store. So yeah, it's a pretty weird, sketchy, interesting mall. And I work there. So these are a couple of stories of my encounters that I've, you know, experienced while working at that store, and also my coworkers. So yeah, it's not really fun when you think about it, because it's like, I work here, leave me alone. Alright, so the first encounter that I had was during December, and this was after like the big Thanksgiving rush and Black Friday, and we're just going into December. So we had a lot of seasonal hires who were working in the store, and one of them that I worked with that night was named Walter. So Walter was probably like a little bit taller than I was, and he was working in the front room in Betty's One that night, and I was working in a lounge at Cash Wrap, just like refolding any of the go-backs we had in the bin, and also some stuff that was messed up on the tables that were in the lounge. So I was working on some of the lounge tables, and I go over and I grab a stack, I flip it over, you know, I start refolding, and I see this solid black figure coming from Betty's One into the lounge. And mind you, I'm thinking like, I'm tired. This was like a late shift because we were already on holiday hours. So we were supposed to get off at like 11:30. So like most of our shifts, like aside from, of course, like our floor set shifts, which ended at like 2:30 in the morning. Usually during the holidays, we would get out of the store between like 11:30 or 12, depending on like how busy it was during the day and if we had hours to really get out, you know, during those times, right? As I'm folding, I'm tired. I've been there for a super long time, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm just seeing this thing just walk from Betty's One through the lounge, and like most Hollisters, they have like pillars around the cash wrap, and so the first pillar, I saw it stop, And then I didn't see anything else, right? So I didn't see anything going into Betty's 2. I just saw from that. And so I ignored it because I'm like, you know what? I'm just tired. I'm just seeing things, you know, that didn't happen. So literally after I just was like, you know, I shrugged it off, I looked back down and I started folding again. And then to the left side of my head, it passed from Dudes 2 into Lounge to where the other pillar was, which is adjacent to the pillar that I just walked to. But it didn't go any further back through the Lounge into Dudes 1. So after I saw that, I stopped folding my clothes, right? I stopped folding and I went, yeah, I didn't just fucking see that. And so I go to the front because I know Walter's up there. I'm thinking Walter's just skulking around, right? So I go up there and I'm like, hey, did you walk through here? And he goes, no, I've been up here working on the gene wall. And I'm like, are you sure you didn't just walk through the Lounge to Betty's 2 and then out through Dude's 2 back through the Lounge? He's like, no, I've been up here the whole time. What are you talking about? And mind you, this is during the holiday time, so of course the gene wall is a mess. Like, it's really like a 3-person job and he's 1 person doing it. Because we were kind of short-staffed that night because it's the holidays, people are on break, people are seeing families, so there wasn't a lot of us working that night for some reason. So I just was like, okay, whatever. Again, I'm tired, I'm just seeing shit. So I go back to the Lounge and I start folding again. And then I notice in Dudes 1, behind one of the palm trees that were by the gene wall up there, I see a figure that's solid black, just like the one that I saw walk through, standing behind the palm fronds, just kind of looking, right? And I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? So I stop again, I go up to the front, and I'm looking around. I'm looking, because we had, at this point, no, we didn't replace the front. That was when we had the hut. Yeah, so like our store was one of the stores that actually got renovated, so they replaced our hut and like the shutters and stuff with just like straight up glass and like a really big like projector screen thing, right? So we didn't have that before. So this is back when we had a hut. I thought that it was just like someone outside of the store. Then mind you, we're closed. I was thinking like maybe it was just like a shopper or whatever who just was like seeing if we were open or not, right? And so I go up and there's nothing and no one out there. I don't even see mall cops out there. I again, just chalk it up to me being tired. And then that night I just went home and just kind of ignored that experience and just really just put it in the back of my mind, just not really thinking too much of it until I started hearing shit from my coworkers and what they've seen and or things that they've encountered, especially in the stockroom. Okay, so the first incident that I had, discovered from another coworker was one of the girls who was our stockroom manager. So she was the lead impactor back there. So she opened one day, of course, with the other manager and like one other person. I think it was just like another model on the floor. And so I wasn't there for this encounter, but she told me about it after I told her, what happened with me in seeing the figure walking through the store. So she said that it was morning. There was no one, there was no one in the store aside from the three of them. And both the associate and the other manager, they were out on the floor. I think the manager was opening registers and the associate, of course, was doing the morning things like cleaning down the mirrors and sweeping and just make sure the store looks good before we opened. So as she's back there alone, she has to go up into the loft, which was it was in the middle of the rollers where the guy's clothing is. Because like our stockroom had an L shape. So you'd walk in and then it went this way to the girl's side and then this way to the back office. And then it was like some other stuff back there too. So she had to go to where the guy's jeans were and separate those rollers and like lock them out so she can like use them as a ladder to climb up and to get into the loft to get whatever material she needed. I forgot what she needed from up there. But while she was up there, mind you, she's by herself in the stockroom. Someone or something came up beside her face and yelled, "Boo." And this is early in the morning. There's 2 people outside in the store. You're back there by yourself. Who's out there saying boo? And so she's looking around frantically, trying to find out what or who said that, and she found nothing. No one was back there, nothing was back there. So much like myself, she was just like, whatever, I'm tired, it's early, I'm just seeing shit. Later on, this happened to the manager who also opened with her. So she just kind of like ignored that experience, right? So the other manager the same day, later on, she was doing some paperwork in the stock room, and the papers by her side were like suddenly flung off the table. Like someone just kind of like went by and just like slapped them off the table, right? Of course, much like everything else, it's like, well, that was just the one. Or, maybe I just, didn't put them up there properly. Everyone who experienced something in that store, we all just went, it was something else. It wasn't the thing that I, think it is. I'm not thinking it's ghosts. I'm definitely thinking that it's something else. It's something stupid. It's something I don't have any control over, like the AC or me just being tired. The next story happened to another girl who was an impactor. So she was an associate who worked in the stock room, and she opened that morning. This was during the holidays. So I wasn't there for this incident either, but I remember we were all sitting around just like telling each other like some of the creepy things that happened to us in the store when we were in the lounge one night when we were closing. And she said that it was one morning she opened, it was just like she and a manager, they came in and she was just like checking the fitting rooms to make sure that people gathered everything out from the previous night. And while she was in there checking each fitting room, she said that in the last fitting room on the girl's side it's actually the guy's side. Yeah, because the other store was flipped. So yeah, our store, the guy's side was on the left, the girl's side was on the right. So she went in there and she heard something rustling in the handicapped fitting room. So she was just kind of curious because, she might think like, oh, it's probably like a mouse or something, or maybe might be a bird. We weren't an outdoor mall, so it wouldn't be a bird, but she thought it was like some type of creature. So she checks under the door first to see what it could be, right? And she said that she saw a pair of Sperry shoes and someone's feet in them. Like she saw like an ankle and the shoes, right? And then she heard a man clear his throat. She just got her things and left. She didn't even say anything. She just grabbed her stuff and left. And then she texted the manager saying, hey, there's someone in the fitting room, but I don't want to deal with it, whatever. So the manager, of course, checked the fitting room after she left, and there was no one in there. So, of course, the manager had to call someone else in to cover the rest of her shift, and I guess no one saw anything else after she experienced that. But I know that she did quit a little bit later. One, because our store was, back when I worked for Hollister, this was under Mike Jeffries, or Mark Jeffries, whoever his name is. It doesn't fucking matter. He got fired. And it was like the worst company to work under, like worst CEO to work under when you work there. That was a part of the reason why she left, because one, it was a shitty job that didn't pay anything. And two, the store was fucking creepy when you were in there by yourself or with just like one other person. It was just really fucking creepy. So another story, this happened in the morning. So my manager and I, we just opened. And actually, no, we didn't open. Yeah, we were still closed, but like she was counting out registers. There really wasn't much for me to do that morning, so we just kind of like sat and chilled. So we went and we got breakfast from Burger King when Burger King was in the mall. We came back to the store, sat in the lounge, started, just talking. She was asking me like, hey, have you seen the ghost here yet? And I was like, there's no such thing as ghosts. There's no ghost here. What the fuck ever. Like, we were just kind of like just dicking around and making fun of the ghost. We were having fun until we saw the lights flickering in the fitting rooms on the women's side. And we both stopped talking and eating. And we looked at each other. And we were like, oh shit, I think we pissed it off. Yeah, so... that was fucking weird. Yeah, I don't know what was going on in that mall or in that store, but there was definitely something off in there. Like, even when I worked at the Shore Pump store, there was something off in that store also. Like, a girl said that she saw a person, with like a demon face looking down from the ceiling panel where we had a missing tile back there. And so she actually ran away that day as well. So that's another person who worked in the stockroom who got freaked out by something that was in the store. But this was at a totally different location. I don't know what it is about like Hollister stores, or at least at like those two malls. Like I've worked at both malls. I worked at PacSun, I worked at Macy's. Where else did I work in there? I worked in like a Monogram store, and like I never experienced anything in like those other stores. Like for some reason in both of those locations at both malls, the Hollisters always had something weird going on in there. I don't know if it was just like a weird energy or weird vibe. It was just something off. But yeah, that's my second ghost story here. And I'm glad to have filled your evening with tales of terror, fright, and really expensive teenage clothes. Well, with that being said, that's where we're in today's video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and also follow me on social media on Twitter and Instagram. I'll have those things linked down below. I hope you guys have a great evening, and I will see you next time. Bye!